Hello everyone. The content you're seeing here is taking highlights from my Twitch stream. It's not the entire weekend of content, but those videos will be coming out soon. So remember, like, subscribe, follow. Throw me up on Twitch, twitch.com, at twitch.tv/Rottenmelks. I don't remember what the final times are. I think they were low 126s, 125s. Like, there's already a huge discrepancy between the two Red Bulls. Yeah, I kind of feel bad for Yuki. I'm gonna be honest. He had a rough lap. I think he just doesn't have the feel of Silverstone yet. Silverstone's a very, very, very demanding course. I wouldn't say like it's a Monaco or a Baku, in the fact that if you make a mistake, well, he didn't do well around Baku either. But I think the fact that he didn't do well around those two tracks either doesn't really surprise me, because this is an easier track than those two, but it's in the same caliber, or in the same like same game, I'd say, you know. So it's you have to string together a bunch of corners to get a good, literally have to string a bunch of corners together to get a lap. But it's like missing one entrance or one exit into a series of corners will mess up the entire lap, as opposed to on other courses where you can, or other tracks I should say, that it kind of you can make up that time almost by being a little more dangerous through other corners. There's like some room for error, like you can make up for the errors you make. But this one, like, if you mess up literally the first corner, you're probably boned. So mind you, this is also important because there's no more quali mode on these engines. All of these engines, the speed that they're producing here is the speed that they're producing in the race, or they can produce in the race, I guess, with the last final laps, because they are only loaded up for a certain amount of gas. Yes, gasoline. Yeah, and Russell unironically smashes it this race. He does so well. So incredibly happy for this kid. Still don't know where anyone's going. I think we're in, let me look on the side screen. I think we're going into summer break right now. How excited he gets, but he's always just like he's always like, all right, now time to move on to the real test. So I think, okay, one thing that's important, you can look at the people who were kicked out in the meantime. I think the most important thing about the sprint qualifying is that Q2 does not determine what wheels you drive on, which is huge. Or sorry, what wheels you start the race on, because there's a sprint qualifying. So that's why. And then the sprint wheels don't matter at all. Like, you don't have to start the same ones that you start on the sprint, which actually would be an interesting change, I'm gonna be honest. Anyway, so I think it's great for this, kind of good for the sport. There's we'll talk about it when we get there, but we got to get through Q3. Yeah, so I'm looking into the changes of why. Oh my god. Yeah, so you can see pretty much everyone's out on an outlap. I wish there was a screenshot of where they were on, or picture where they were on the track, but he was he had clean air. So this is actually kind of exciting to watch. They'll probably talk about it too, but I want to get it in before them. So, and then we'll talk about the upgrades that happened to Lewis's car right after. They're very small, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around how the heck that happened, or how the heck that pushed like half a second worth of changes or speed around a lap. I mean, Toto did say that he wanted to come out and start smashing Red Bull and wanted to 1-2 the race, which was honestly, he was pretty close to 1-2ing it. But this was fun because Q3 was basically like, this was the last lap of Q3. Really exciting to watch this. but it's literally, you were able to watch a direct correlation, or I think they were, yeah, they're 20 something seconds apart, and there's no car in between them, so they have pretty clean air when they're hitting it. You could watch each sector as they come